Hi, and thanks for watching this video. My name's Andy. First of all, sorry that you've got to look at my ugly mug for the next few minutes, but believe me, if it was a choice between me and the other Andy who works here, you've got the best of a bad situation. Now, the largest part of our business is our paint. We supply paint anything from rail track specification, highways agency, new buildings, floor paint for warehouses, right through to paint suitable for the restoration of vehicles, Land Rovers, classic cars, and also your Mr. Smith, who is perhaps painting his gates and his railings at home. There's a product in our range to suit all of that. Now, today what I wanted to talk about is what we in the industry call corrosion control, whether that be the preventative type products that stop you getting rust in the first place, and also those sort of products that treat corrosion or rust that's already there. Now, with regards to the preventative side of things, well, that's fairly simple. You'll see out there in the industry, in the market, on a place like eBay, things like red oxide primers, grey primers. Those are the sort of things that are designed to go onto clean, bare steel. A lot of them, in particular, our red oxide and grey primers, they'll contain something called zinc phosphate. So that's kind of an additive, I guess. That you, once you put that primer on, then you would overcoat it with things like fast dry enamel. You can put our military paint over it, and really you're giving that steel work, whether it be brand new steel or perhaps something that you've had shot blasted back, you're giving it a good chance at an extended life, basically. But today, the main thing I wanted to speak about were the products that treat rust that's already there. Now, as a company, we are also known as Corroless Northwest. Now, Corroless is a brand of industrial products, products that are sold hundreds and hundreds of litres at a time to the offshore industry, oil rigs, bridges, a massive kind of projects that are undertaken where obviously it's not practical to shot blast something back or to hand prepare a whole massive area. So Corroless has been around now for well over 30 years, if not knocking on 50 years, and they produce products, paints and other such products that are designed to treat rust that's already there. And we have taken on that brand. There are lots of different brands out there, some more well known than others. We're also aware that there are some people who are buying the Corroless products and they are rebranding them as their own. That's fine. Generally speaking, they tend to come at a price premium. But that's fine. They're making a name for themselves, and at the end of the day, as a company, we just don't like seeing people waste their money. So we just want to make sure that if you're going to spend money, if you're going to do, for example, a nut and bolt type restoration of a Land Rover, that at least you're putting your money towards something that's worthwhile. So Colorless is what we've chosen to go for. We don't rebrand it. We sell it as Corroless because it's well known. It's very well known in the USA and across Europe, and it's making a name for itself here as well. So we're just going to run through just some of the main products that we have taken. We repackage them into smaller amounts, anything from a small 250ml can, one aerosol, up to 5 litres and more. So you've got your project. Now, for this purposes of this video, we're going to be talking about the automobile restoration. So classic car or Land Rover, your chassis or your suspension parts, things like that. So you've got that. you've got rust on it, it's not practical or it's not within your budget to replace that or to get it shot blasted back. So what you would need to do is you would need to hand prepare it at the least, because no matter what the paint is or the product is that you buy, it's only as good as what it goes on to. So anything that is loose, literally about to come off, you've got to get rid of it. Now you can use a sanding wheel, a twist knot brush on a grinder. You can use a wire brush, hand wire brush, but you need to clean that off. Give it a clean down, whether that's a panel wipe or some hot soapy water, it doesn't matter, it just needs to be clean and dry and sound. So the first product to give consideration to is the Corroless S rust primer. Now this is probably the product that we sell the most of. It's a buff kind of red oxide type colour, very high build, very thick paint. You can apply that by a spray, so kind of a gravity gun. You can brush that, you can roll it on. We've actually done another video which is on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel, just a brief video showing that being applied to some rusty steel. It's an RSJ, I think it is. But what that contains is a certain pigment, a certain chemical. Now it's not like the fluids that you see out there in the marketplace, which are a bit watery. You know, you paint it on the surface, it kind of turns black. It's not like that at all. This looks like a red oxide type primer, but what it does over time is it sinks down into the substrate, into the steel work, and the rust that it comes into contact with, it turns solid, and it basically stops that chemical reaction taking place. So that is the basis for any project that you want to be taking part in. With regards to coverage, obviously that depends on how you apply it. You're going to be getting somewhere between 8 to 10 square meters per litre, so it does go a long way. Ideally, if your budget allows, if time allows, then we would always recommend 2 coats of that. That way you know that you're covering the whole area, and you're getting a good build on there. It does come in aerosol spray as well. This is what the aerosol would look like. It's got rust killer on there. The pictures, you know, cars, boats, garden furniture is another one, gates, railings, things like that. So if you have the means to spray, or you perhaps you don't want to brush or roller it, then it comes in a handy aerosol. And like I say, we can do that in right down to a small amount if you've just got a little bit to do, up to large amounts for large projects. Now, after that, you've got a couple of options. The next one, now you may see this, you know, advertised as some sort of extreme top coat. Basically, Colorless do a product called RF16. Okay, now RF16 is a glass reinforced gloss top coat. So it doesn't contain the rust killing kind of pigment that the primer does, but it does have this self-leafing glass flake. Now what that means is that when that dries, it is superb abrasion resistance, because basically you've got this very hard interleafed glass substrate going on, and it's highly impervious to water as well. So it makes a fantastic top coat for that RCP, rust control primer, the rust killing primer. The good thing is with ourselves, we can make that in any BS and RAL number. So we get asked for it in like this bronze green, which is very popular for the Land Rover industry. We get asked for it in black, obviously. We can do it in white. Kawasaki green is another one, which proves quite popular. And again, anything from 250 ml up to 5 litres and more. It's not as thick because it's a top coat. It's not quite as thick as the rust primer, so you'll get 10 or more square meters a litre out of that. It can be sprayed, it can be brushed, it can be rolled, exactly the same. To give you an idea of lifespan, putting those two products together, if you were to do 2 coats of the rust primer and 2 coats of the RF16 top coat, then we would put a lifespan of at least 10 years on that. So you imagine the other way of looking at it, perhaps you've just got yourself a brand new chassis, galvanised chassis for a Land Rover. Galvanised is great, obviously, but eventually it will succumb to rust. If you check out a video on LRTV by Chris, he talks a little bit about that, about the need to protect even galvanised substrates. So you've got a galvanised, brand new, fresh galvanised chassis. If you were to T-wash that, or mordant solution you may know it as, and then apply 2 coats of the rust primer, 2 coats of the glass reinforced top coat, basically what you're doing is you're giving it 10 plus years life before any rust even gets to your galvanised chassis. So chances are the chassis is going to outlive most of the other parts on your vehicle, to be fair. So those two as a paint system are perfect. Now we do also do a glass reinforced chassis in one paint. So this is a chassis paint, doesn't need the primer, you don't have to put the glass flake top coat over it. This has a like a sheen finish, low gloss finish, so perhaps you don't want a full gloss, then this is another great product for you. Now this isn't unfortunately not available in all colours, this is only available in black, but it is a one-hit kind of product, so it contains the same rust killing or rust converting pigment that the primer does, but it also is glass reinforced. So you're getting both of those other 2 products in one handy can. So the benefits of that would be time. Obviously you don't need to wait for the primer to dry before you put a top coat on. You may not want a gloss finish, so again this would fit the bill. It is only available in black, and the thing to bear in mind as well is the rust converting pigment in the Corroless range is a red oxide kind of colour. So what that means, because this contains it, although it will dry black, if you were to put it up against another black, a standard chassis paint, or a normal gloss kind of black, you would see a difference. There is a red tinge to it. Now most of the time that's not an issue, because you're doing under your vehicle, you're doing the chassis or parts that aren't seen, but it's just something to bear in mind that is an unfortunate side effect. However, again, just using this, perhaps 2 coats of this on its own, we'd be more than confident in saying 5 years life, if not more. There's nothing stopping you from putting the rust primer on first and then the chassis in one. If you were to do 2 coats of that, 2 coats of the primer and 2 coats of the chassis paint over the top, again 10 years minimum on that, probably knocking on 15, especially when we're talking about a vehicle. You've got to bear in mind that these products are designed to be used in the offshore industry, so using them on a vehicle isn't anywhere near as aggressive as using them, on an oil rig or something like that. We can put any of those products into an aerosol. So again, there's no minimum order quantity for anything like that. Particularly the top coat, the glass reinforced gloss. Again, we can put that into any colour, into just one aerosol if you want it, or 250 ml. You don't have to buy a minimum amount there. So those are the main products. Now I just want to get on to two more from the Corroless range, which they fit into the car restoration and the Land Rover scene really well. You'll have to forgive me, I'm going to use the data sheets for this because I can't always remember everything about it. The first one is this, which is Corroless CCI wax. So this is great for sealed areas, hard to reach places, things like bulkheads underneath the vehicle, perhaps you can't get the paint to, stuff like that. It is easily removable, so again, if it was perhaps places that you needed to inspect, or you wanted to keep up with a regular kind of maintenance program, it can be removed. It dries to like a semi-translucent brown colour, but the good thing with that is it's the same corrosion inhibiting properties of the other products. So that means it protects on contact with the steel, and it also protects with emitting a vapour into the air, so basically protecting against just general moisture that's in the air all the time. Some of the points, I mean, all these are available on our website and on the Corroless website. So it gives up to 4 years protection. It's suitable for application onto damp surfaces, so you haven't got to make sure that they're fully dry. Like we said, it works both by contact and vapor phase inhibition. So ideal for void spaces, structural steel, winches, wire ropes, cranes, box sections. You get the idea. So that's the wax. The other one is, no, that's a 500 ml aerosol. It has an extension nozzle that comes with it, and we can also supply a 600 ml extension nozzle as well, so you can really feed it into box section and whatever. So the last one that I just want to show you now is the Corroless grease. Now this is a heavy duty lithium grease, and again, everything in the Corroless range is to do with rust control and rust prevention. So it's not just the grease, it's got the same vapours in it to help protect against corrosion. So again, data sheet, extreme pressure lithium grease that can be applied directly onto surfaces requiring continuous lubrication, areas subject to heavy or shock loading, effective even when moisture, oil and rust are already present, highly resistant to water and steam, gives up to 3 years protection in aggressive environments. So again, in not so aggressive environments, it's going to give more than 3 years protection. Will protect wire ropes, machinery, bearings, conveyors, spindles, open gearing. That's a standard 400 gram tube, so you would use this in like a grease gun type situation. You can pop the lid and you can apply it by brush as well, but obviously it's designed for grease gun. And that's it. So I'm hoping that it's not been 20 minutes of the most boring drivel that you've ever heard, but these are just questions that we get asked every day. Can this go over that? Can I use it on my Land Rover? Can I use it on my car? Absolutely. Just because they are industrial products doesn't mean that they're not suitable for that. And in fact, that's why we brought them to the market, because there is a need there to move away from some of the mainstream DIY store type products that are okay and they've done a job for a while, but generally speaking they're more expensive, and that's all they're designed for. Whereas at least with the Corroless range of products, what you're actually getting are an industrial grade product that have happened to be made available to you no matter what the project is. So like I said, my name's Andy, the company is Arc-Rite Welding and Safety. We have a full online shop where you can see at www.arc-rite.co.uk. We have an eBay shop as well. We have a Facebook page, a YouTube video page which we try to keep updated as and when we get the time. We have an online chat facility on our website as much as we can, and of course you're always welcome to just pick the phone up and give us a call. We love paint, we love Land Rovers, we love classic cars, you know, so we're more than happy to talk to you, even if it's 10 times before you actually buy something. And then even if you don't buy anything, the point is at least we might have managed to point you in the right direction with some unbiased advice, and at least then you can go off and make an informed decision. Our telephone number, if you want it, is 01524 855 213. I really recommend that you check out the series of videos that Chris has done at LRTV. He has his own Facebook page and his own YouTube page, which covers not paint, you know, not just paint, it covers all the mechanical side of Land Rovers and things like that. Fantastic resource when you need information. So hopefully this has been of help to you, and we'll catch you on the next video.